What's up YouTube, this is Bison X79 guys. Today I'm coming to you with my latest deck profile video for August 2021. And today guys, we're going to be looking at my Eldlich Zombie World deck profile. Now Zombie World's something that I love playing even back in the day. The deck was very amazing with the way you could build his resources and just explore on your opponent. Nowadays, it's a bit more combo reliant, but it still can actually put big body monsters on the boards and make very good use of Zombie World being on the field to basically cause problems for your opponent with being able to play or just being able to take their resources for your own. And now that we have the Eldlich cards mixed in with the deck actually gets a little bit more consistent, being able to special summon from the deck, hand, or graveyard with a little bit greater ease. And with that being said, we're jumping right into the deck. Starting off with the monsters, as always, two copies of Doom King, Ballardroch, or Ballardroch. Whatever you call it, Doom King is just an amazing card. If this card's in your graveyard and you control a field spell on your field, you can special summon him during the standby phase, and that's both players' turns. Very awesome. And if your opponent activates a zombie type monster's effect, once per chain you can get one of additional effect, whether it be negating that monster's effect or just banishing a card off your opponent's field or out of their graveyard. Very good, very easy to get out. We only really need two, and he's just an amazing monster. Next up, we got 3 copies of Eldlich, the Golden Lord. I'm just going to take a moment here because these are the premium gold versions of the card, and it just looks beautiful. Konami did an amazing job with the premium golds, but that being said, Eldlich the Golden Lord is just an amazing card. You can send this card plus one other spell trap card from your hand to the graveyard and send one of your opponent's monsters off the field to the graveyard, which is just huge. While this card's in the graveyard, you can actually return it back to your hand after sending a spell trap card you control to the graveyard. And then, once Golden Lord is back in your hand, you can special summon a zombie type monster from your hand onto the field. Now a lot of players, they just special summon him back to get the 1,000 point attack boost, as well as make it unkillable by effects, but you can actually do that with any zombie monster in this deck, and that makes a world of difference because you get alternative ways of getting out monsters onto the field. Plus the protection and the extra attack boost does help out. So keep that in mind when using your Golden Lord. Next up, this is a Zombie World deck, so we gotta be running at least 2 copies of Necro Banshee. While she's in the field, your Zombie World cannot be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target it with card effects, which means your opponent's not getting Zombie World off the field with her sitting there. Furthermore, she has a quick effect where you can actually banish her while she's on the field, and then you can activate a Zombie World from your hand or from your deck right onto your field, which is just awesome. It's just a great way to get your Zombie World going, and let's face it, she's an all-star for this deck. Next up, we got the tuner package that the deck runs, and in current, the current form of the decks run this particular ratio, and to be very honest, it works. We run 3 copies of Mizuki, 3 copies of Unizombie, and 2 copies of Shiranui Solitaire. Essentially, Solitaire is a 1-card link to or a synchro play. Basically what you do is you utilize Solitaire's effect to tribute it off, special summon Unizombie from your deck to your field. Then you activate Unizombie's effect to target itself, pitch a zombie card from your deck to the field, which is to your graveyard, which is going to be Mizuki. Banish the Mizuki to special summon Solitaire, and from there you have 2 level 4 monsters, so you can go into your rank A plays, or you can just go into a link play, a Link to play, and that can actually also change things around as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different plays. It's a great engine to have in this deck, and the reason why we're running 3 Unizombies and only 2 Solitaires is basically because of what we have in the extra deck. So yes, definitely a great engine. You want to be running it in this deck. And then we have the one-ofs. We have 1 copy of Glow Up Bloom, 1 copy of Mizuki, and then 1 copy of Jack O'Bolan. Glow Up Bloom is actually an amazing card for zombies. Anytime it's sent to the graveyard, and sent to the graveyard, it's such a wide term, it can cover a lot of different things. Anytime it's sent to the graveyard, you're able to either add a level 5 or higher zombie monster to your hand, or if you have Zombie World on your field, you can be special summoning right from the deck. So definitely it's worth having in your deck to really be able to play. Mizuki is just a standby for any zombie deck. Get it into the graveyard, you banish it from the graveyard, you special summon a zombie from your graveyard. Pretty easy. We have other ways of getting cards out of the graveyard built into this deck thanks to the Eldlich card, so we only need 1 copy of it, but 1 copy is more than enough for this card. And of course, I like running Jack O'Bolan primarily because I want to try to get the most out of Zombie World while it's on the field. You discard a zombie monster, special summon this guy to the field. Pretty awesome. During your opponent's main phase, you can actually special summon a zombie type monster from your opponent's graveyard. Since Zombie World's up, all monsters in both graves are zombies. Special summon to the field, and then this card actually banishes itself until the end phase and brings itself back. It makes it for a very awesome way to steal your opponent's resources. And like I said, I like making the most use out of Zombie World. Now, if you don't like Jack O'Bolan in this particular build, you can either double up on Glow Bloom or look to add in Vampire Fraulein in its place, just to power boost your zombie monsters a little bit more. That's it for the monsters. Onto the spells. We got 1 copy of Call by the Grave. I know it's typically not seen in the Eldlich Zombie World builds, but Zombie World is a little bit more combo oriented, so you want to be able to have that protection while you're performing your combo. Otherwise, it's just a great defensive card to utilize against your opponent because Eldlich can pop up every now and then, and you want to be prepared for a mirror match. Next up, we're starting to get into the Eldlich cards. We have 3 copies of Cursed Elden. When you activate it, you can only attack with zombie monsters, but that's not really an issue with this deck. And you can utilize each of the following effects once per turn. The first effect, you pay 800 life points and either add a Eldlich monster from your deck to your hand, or a Goldenland spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, which is actually pretty cool. If this card is ever sent to the graveyard, you get to send another Eldlich monster or a Goldenland spell or trap card from your deck to your graveyard as well. So you're actually loading your graveyard to actually do a lot of different things. And with the way the Goldenland and Elixir cards work with their graveyard effects, you could be actually adding even more cards onto your board. So yes, it's very important to actually build your board. So that's why this card's at 3. Next up, we have the Elixir cards. We're running 2 copies of Elixir of the Black Awakening, 1 copy of Elixir of the White Destiny. Okay, so Black Awakening allows you to special summon an Eldlich monster from your hand or your deck right to the field. But if you control an Eldlich monster, you special summon any zombie from your hand or your deck. Meanwhile, White Destiny is basically special summoning an Eldlich monster from your hand or graveyard to your field. And if you control an Eldlich monster, it's any zombie from hand or graveyard. So yes, you have different ways of getting your other cards. And like I mentioned with the Cursed Elden, if these cards are in the graveyard and you haven't used their first effects, you can actually use their graveyard effect to banish themselves to be able to set Goldenland cards from your deck to your field. So yes, you're able to build boards and be able to interrupt your opponent. Okay, 2 more one-ofs. We have 1 copy of Full Sparrow, 1 copy of 1-for-1. I consider them very standards for any particular zombie build. Full Sparrow just puts any zombie monster from your deck into your graveyard, so it's pretty much mandatory. 1-for-1, you pitch any monster from your hand, and you're able to special summon your Glow Bloom right to your field. Really great. Be able to get a lot of different plays going very fast. So that's the reason why I like having both these cards in the deck. Next up, we have the Fusion Spell. I run 2 copies of Super Polymerization. I don't really like running the third because it can get a little bricky at times. 2, for me, is the optimal. Basically, discard a card from your hand, and you're able to fusion summon with monsters that are on the field. We got some pretty awesome cards in the fusion cards in the deck, so it's very useful regardless. And last but not least for the spells, this is not a won't be a Zombie World deck without 3 copies of Zombie World. These cards face up on the field. All monsters on the field in both players' graveyards are zombie type monsters. Your opponent cannot tribute summon unless it's for a zombie monster, so it can slow down tribute summon decks if you encounter them in your meta, whether it be locals or even at a regional. So definitely worth having. And that's it for the spells. We're going to get into the traps, and since I'm running 3 Zombie Worlds, I'm also backing it up with 3 copies of Rivalry of the Warlords. I'm sorry guys, I just love this card in this deck, blocking my opponent into being able to summon only zombies. That can win games on its own. And just doubling down with the various Eldlich support you have, it's going to be very easy to pull off. So that's the reason why I run Rivalry. Coming up, we got 3 more Elixir cards, and that's 3 copies of Elixir of the Scarlet Sanguine. This card allows you to special summon an Eldlich monster or a zombie monster from your deck or your graveyard, which is actually very awesome. So we actually have 5 ways of getting cards out of zombie monsters out of your graveyard, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways of getting them out of your deck too. So yes, very useful card. And just like the other Elixir cards, if this card's in your graveyard without using the first effect, you could actually be able to banish it and get Goldenland cards onto your field. And speaking of the Goldenland cards, we got 2 copies of Conquistador, 2 copies of Hakiro, and 1 copy of Guardian. Let's just center these a little bit better. This is the ratio that I'm going for. I know a lot of players like to run 3 and 3 and not bother with Guardian. I found that there are situations where you need at least another Goldenland name. And I can tell you right now, they're all pretty awesome. Now, if you have Golden Lord on the field, when you activate these cards all act as trap monsters. So you get to special summon them onto the field. Conquistador and Hakiro are both come out as level 5 lighter tribute monsters. So you have the Pleiades play with that. But Conquistador, when it's summoned, can actually pop a card on the field. Hakiro can banish cards out of your opponent's graveyard, and Guardian, when it's summoned to the field, can actually bottom out one of your opponent's monster's attack, and it comes out as a level 8 monster. And if you just happen to have a Unizombie on the field, you can actually go into a level 12 synchro, which can actually initiate OTKs, and that's actually pretty damn awesome. Or you can just exceed someone with it. So yes, this is the ratio I'm going with, and it has worked very well and served me well as well. And last but not least, we have 2 copies of Goldenland Forever. I just like the counter trap here. As long as you control your Golden Lord, you can activate this trap card and you get the activation of a monster, spell, or trap after tributing a zombie type monster. And trust me, you're going to have plenty of them on the board. So yes, definitely an amazing counter trap to protect your field and cause more problems for your opponent. And that's it for the main deck. We're running it at 42, and I can tell you right now, it does its things really well. Now, moving into the extra deck, for the fusions, we run 1 copy of Eldlich the Mad Golden Lord. This guy counts as Eldlich the Golden Lord while face up on the field. Can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, so once he hits the field, he ain't leaving that easy. You could also tribute 1 zombie monster you control and take control of one of your opponent's monsters. But you can't attack with it, and you can't use his effect this turn. Which is alright, because if you could actually be able to bait out one of your opponent's monsters on minigates, you can actually steal those cards and just bring them over to your field and just be able to utilize those effects for your own on the following turn. So it's always a good card to actually have in your extra deck, and it takes 1 Eldlich card plus 1 other level 5 or higher zombie, so that's going to be pretty easy with Zombie World up. So definitely a great card. We also are running Drago Necro, the Nether Soul Dragon. 2 zombie monsters fused together makes this guy monsters that this guy battles with can't be destroyed by battle. I know that kind of sounds weird, but it does play well into his effect, because monsters still in the field, you're going to be able to bottom out that monster's attack, special summon a zombie token with the same level and attack as that monster. So you're getting those additional bodies on board, and you're just going to be able to crush your opponent with the additional firepower you're getting off this guy. So yes, he's definitely a must-have in any zombie extra deck. And last but not least, we do run into a lot of Dark Retreat monsters, so we have to have Starring Venom Fusion Dragon in the deck, Monster Effect negates, excuse me, and as such, and it just works really well with any super poly targets. Next up, I do run a level 7 synchro, and that's going to be Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. I know not a lot of people like this card, but I feel that having a play from the extra deck to make use of Zombie World, always a good thing. This card gains 100 attack for every zombie on the field and into both players' graveyard, so it can get pretty big pretty fast. Furthermore, whenever a zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can actually special summon another zombie monster from your graveyard, or either player's graveyard, right then. And I can tell you right now, giving you that extra firepower and denying your opponent the resources, it's worth it. So that's the reason why I like having this card in the extra. To help out with just generic level 8 plays, Sight from Lord Omega. When this card is in the field, you can actually banish it, rip a card out of your opponent's hand. That's always fun. You can also probably get a read on what they're playing by what they banish, because the banished card goes up face up. If this card's face up on the field during your opponent's standby phase, you can actually recycle cards from your banished zone back into your graveyard. Great to get extra uses of Mizuki or even Glow Up Boom ready to go. So definitely, it's such a worthwhile card. And if this card is ever sent to the graveyard, you can actually take this card and one other card in your graveyard and shuffle them back into your deck and be able to get your resources back. And last but not least, this is the synchro play I was talking about with Guardian. One copy of Geomath Mech Final Sigma. Basically, the level 4 Unizombie plus the level 8 Guardian, after it bounds out your opponent's attacks, can make this guy, if this guy's sitting in your extra monster zones, any damage it does is doubled, so it has 3k attack, and your opponent's monster's attack has been bottomed out. Yeah, you're doing 6k attack, and then you're more likely have Golden Lord on the field, whether it has 3,500 or 2,500, it's going to swing into your opponent, and that's game. So great way to cheese out OTKs in this deck. Next up, I mentioned this with the two other trap monsters, Hakero and Conquistador. Constellation Pleiades, just an amazing card. Has that quick effect ability to basically compulse one of your opponent's monsters off the field. So always a good card to have to interfere with your opponent's plays. For rank A plays, we do have Dengirsu. On summon, it just sends one of your opponent's monsters to the graveyard, so that's always a good thing to get problematic cards off the field. And out of that, but it can sit on the field and protect your other monsters or cards from being destroyed, so definitely it can put in some time with this deck. And last but not least, we are running the Train package with this. I run Gustav Max alongside Lee, but if you don't like Gustav Max, you can always swap it out for any rank 10 you like. Number 81 is another good card to actually run alongside Lieb as well. But I prefer Gustav Max to hit your opponent with that 3k effect damage, and then overlay into Lieb to basically power boost itself and run over your opponent rampantly. So, very good combo to end duels. And of course, we're going to come into the links. We're running Link Kuriboh in this deck. Glow Up Bloom is a level 1 monster, so it just makes sense to pair this with Link Kuriboh. Being able to link summon with Glow Up Bloom sets off Glow Up Bloom's effect to get a big monster on the field alongside this. And Link Kuriboh can just bottom out your opponent's monster's attack, so you can actually swing into him pretty easily. And with the ability to recur resources back into your graveyard thanks to Omega, you can actually set up even more plays to actually bring this guy back. Next up, we have one copy of Christian Hacker Fullbacks. This is the card I was alluding to alongside the Unizombie Solitaire package. Being able to summon out Crystal on Hakufubex is just great, and then Hakufubex on summon brings out another Unizombie, which can further load your graveyard by using his effect, and then you can just link climb with it into one of the 2 other Link 2s, and one of them is going to be Predaplant Anaconda. I mean, pretty shocking with this deck. Any 2 effect monsters can make it. Pay 2,000 life points, you send Super Poly to your graveyard, and then its effect becomes Super Poly, and then you just basically fusion summon one of your fusion monsters out on the field. Very awesome. And then, of course, the other Link 2 player you have is Vampire Sucker, and Vampire Sucker actually comes in pretty handy in tight spots. Let's say you don't have any monsters. Let's say you can only really go into a Link 2, but you have a high-level monster in your hand. Well, guess what? Vampire Sucker, while it's sitting on the field, has a continuous effect where all your opponent's monsters, as long as they're zombies, can be utilized as tributes for your tribute summons. So you can actually tribute off your opponent's monsters, and since that's not an effect, it's a mechanic, your opponent can't respond to that, and essentially you're able to break the board with the game mechanic. You also get 2 other effects. You can use once per turn. One allows you to bring back any monster from your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to the field. It becomes a zombie type monster, and then anytime a zombie type monster is special summoned from the graveyard, from either graveyard actually, you get to draw a card. So she gives you that little extra consistency boost. And the last zombie card Link monster we have is the Yuki Ono, the Absolute Zero Mayakashi. What can I say? She can actually do a lot. Monster, you negate the activate. You have to negate the monster effects of your opponent's banished monsters automatically, which is awesome with her. Not only that, but if your opponent is going to special summon a monster from their graveyard or activate a monster effect in their graveyard, you can target one other monster on their field, bottom out that monster's attack, and then negate their effects. So yeah, you can actually really interfere with your opponent's plays, and just being able to shut down your opponent's monsters and bottom out their attacks can open up the door to get that big damage and the win. So yes, she's definitely a must-have in this deck extra. Guys, that is it for my Eldlich Zombie World deck profile for August 2021. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the invite link to my Discord server. Join the conversation. We'd love to have you. Check out my affiliates, tcgplayer.com as well as sidedeckversus.com. Great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Follow me on social media, and guys, until next time, peace!